Okay, here we go. I'm back to the streaming. I'm gonna go ahead and get back to work on dry brushing these guys. Let's double check how some of these have turned out. Looks like we're getting a slightly lighter look on them. Hello guys, welcome back. I'm just looking around and trying to see, was I getting a bright enough edge highlight via dry brush I was doing? And I'm not sure if the answer is yes on some of these guys. Might need to go even brighter, but right now I'm going to go ahead and mix back up some of the lighter black and blue that I was using to try and get a better dry brush edge highlight on the temple guard that I've been working on. So let's go ahead and get to work on that, shall we? Okay, so get some of the black on there. I mean, to be completely honest, the thing I'm kind of struggling with right now is I can't even really tell which ones I got this morning versus which ones I did not. Oh, no, never mind, I take that back. I can kind of see where I stopped. This is definitely a positive. Get some of that blue in there, which is like ridiculously gooby, which is fine, I suppose. And then we're going to get some of this gray. And since I'm trying to go much brighter to give this a real highlight to it, we're going to add a lot more gray. So hopefully it's going to be enough. Like I said, someday I'll get a palette cam. Today is not that day, but for right now it's going to have to do. So you guys are just going to have to wait a second while I mix all this up. And then we're going to see what kind of soft blue I managed to get out of this and see if it's bright enough to actually use on these minis as a highlight color. Okay, I think that will actually do. That looks pretty fantastic. Okay. Oh my goodness. Got this way too deep up in the ferrule. There we go. Last thing I need to do is get some more light on the situation and get started. Let's see. I think... Oh yeah, I probably ought to go ahead and fix the autofocus, because otherwise it's going to be a mess. No, I don't want that. I want autofocusing. That looks like it'll be pretty good. Okay, I also finally got an answer. It looks like the client wants them to have, I believe, green lenses. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure he said green all the way. So let's make sure that that is correct. Okay, there's a scam going over here. Oh no. Ugh. Don't like scams. That's a lot of Night Haunt. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to check my messages real quick. And then I'm going to make sure. Okay, so green lenses no matter what. Okay, this guy wants green all the way. He's getting green all the way. Mr. Client wants a very unified look, and that is what he is getting. So go ahead and brush these again, get a little bit more of this blue highlight, blue dry brush, and wow, yeah, that definitely adds a whole lot of zhuzh, a whole lot of pop to these guys. Definitely happy with that. At some point I probably ought to go back and do his auspex just to give it some more to it. But yeah, that adds a lot. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Okay, that guy's good. I'm gonna take my glasses off, so I apologize if suddenly I stop being able to see anything, but they are bumping consistently into both the light source and the mic, so we don't need to hear that mess on stream. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead, get some really good bright highlights on this that still read as this wonderful dark black, which it's doing remarkably well, actually. And then I can finally really touch up the eye lenses, and then I think the next thing I'm going to do is look for some final details that I really want to hit on these guys. Potentially some of the minor details like the auspex or like any other weapons or equipment they have on them that I didn't already hit. And then I'll finally be at a kind of a stop point with them. I'll hit the terrain. Oh yeah, I gotta hit the terrain too. I gotta definitely make it look a little more nurgly. I told the client that that's what I was gonna do, was give them more of a nurglified base. And so I'm gonna stick to that. And make it as upsetting as possible. I've mentioned it before, but when I made my own Nurgle bases, one thing I said was I wanted them to be so gross looking that people wouldn't want to touch them. And so I'm going to go ahead and stick to that. Once I finish, giving all these guys a good old dry brush. And yeah, this clearly looks better. It's definitely giving these models a whole lot more depth, giving them a whole lot more interest tonally to look at. Okay, same thing with you. You just a little more though. It looks like, yeah, looks like you're getting some really nice color on you. So I don't have as much to work with on you guys. A little bit more on the brush. I'm really tickled that despite the fact that I bought these masterclass brushes, again, Army Painter Masterclass, that I keep going back to this one, this crummy, very obviously beat up looking one that I bought from them a couple years ago. But it's just been so consistently good at what it needs to do. The bristles are just stiff enough that I can get some really good coverage and really specific angled coverage. I don't know. It's been an incredibly successful brush for me, and I guess I've just learned how to use it and become decent at it. So it's become my default dry brush. Okay. That's fine for what it is. Yeah, these guys are looking good. I think this dry brush is really helping them pop. I know I kind of went backwards a little bit, and I'm reworking some guys, but the extra gray, like this one I don't really need to do much to. The extra gray is really bringing out a lot more brightness to them, so I'm trying to really emphasize that. It's good. I don't need to do much with him. Okay. Same with this one. It looks like this one I got a little bit more rowdy with, so I don't need to do as much on him. Okay. Hey, Strata Miniatures. Am I pronouncing that right? Yeah, I am. I can see it. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm struggling a little bit. Nice to see you. Welcome to my stream. I am right now working on getting some highlights done on this commission piece that I'm working on, this army. And I'm really digging how this kind of soft blue-gray is showing high spots on very dense black armor. I would like to get all of this done before the end of the week so I can mail it off to the client, because I feel like 2 weeks is long enough to wait. So I'm going to go ahead, get as much done as I can, as quickly as I can, without losing any quality to the best of my ability. This is a custom chapter that he specifically requested. Well, not a custom chapter, a successor chapter of the Fists. He wanted to use his blah blah blah. I can talk, I promise. Yeah, it's not something that I'm doing very seriously right now. I don't have very many clients, and I do a lot of it mainly for friends, so I can start building that clout and start building that reputation. But the good news is that so far everyone seems to be really happy with my paint jobs. They understand that it's going to be at tabletop ready with a little bit more zhuzh. And for everyone who's asked me to work for them, that's been more than enough. So the expectations, thank you. The expectations are realistic, and by and large it seems like people have been pretty happy with my prices. But what was I just thinking? Yeah, these are the Temple Guard. They are a successor chapter to the Imperial Fist that I had never heard of until the client came to me with some Black Templar gear and was like, is there any chapter I can use these on for the Fists? And I didn't really have an answer for him, and so he did some research, found the Temple Guards, which are the reference photo over in the corner. And I was like, yeah, we can definitely use the Black Templar stuff for that. And so that is what I am trying to do, to get this to look as Temple Guardy as possible. Now, I obviously don't want to go too pale, because then they're going to start looking like Space Wolves. But I think the dark blue against the black is going to read well enough as a, like, black highlight that it'll be fine. And so far, visually, it's all got the right language, so I'm pretty okay with it. Oh, goodness gracious. I am exhausted. I've been staying... I gotta remember this. I gotta remember to do this bit. What is that, even? I'm not exactly sure. It looks like... Oh, it's a knife! It's a knife wrapped in some kind of cloth. So I'll have to remember to hit that in a minute, once I finish with all these other bits. Yeah, most of these guys I seem to have hit pretty okay, as I kind of figured it out this morning. Get the knuckles. Yeah, that's the idea, is like the yellow is really helping with the contrast. Thank you for that. Because that's kind of what I figured, is that having a bright color against it, especially one as warm as the yellow, will really help cool down the black and the blue a lot and give it a lot more cell. Because I am not, this is not my natural, I am not in my natural habitat. I'm not an artist at all. This is the most amount of art I've ever done, was when I started miniature painting for a hobby, or for the hobby. But I've enjoyed it so much that I've really tried to get good at it. So hopefully it all reads well enough and it'll all look good on the tabletop. I gotta remember about that guy's knife decoration on his foot, on his shin. Sculpt minis, that's really freaking neat. I'll have to check some of that stuff out. That's something I've never even thought to do. I did for a little while start looking at getting into Blender and start looking at getting into that kind of stuff, but that's so far out of my comfort zone that I'm kind of really nervous to get started. One of the other YouTubers I follow, or Twitch streamers I follow, Doig and Swift. Yeah, what do you use? Do you use like a Blender, or I don't know what other ones are. I know Tinkercad's a thing, but I don't know what any of that means. But yeah, I follow a set of art. ZBrush. Okay, that's the other one that I was thinking of. That's I know that exists. I don't know how it works. I don't know what it do. I have heard of ZBrush and I know that it exists. But that's really cool. Have I seen some of your designs before? I feel like your username is familiar. And that I might have seen your designs before on either like My Mini Factory or Cults or something like that. I could just be completely wrong and implanting false memories, but... Oh, okay. That makes sense. But yeah, I'd like to get into that, but I have absolutely zero experience with 3D modeling, with you play paint D&D stuff. I used to do it a lot more, like that's what got me into the miniature painting hobby. One of my friends who was into the hobby far longer than I was said I should really get into mini painting, and he thought I would enjoy it. And I had really bad experiences when I was a little tater tot trying to learn how to paint this stuff, and it made me embarrassed to continue to try. But he was super encouraging, and so it kind of got me back on the wagon. And then I got into Warhammer, and then, you know, all bets were off. But yeah, I do D&D stuff, just nowhere near as often, because finding people to play with has gotten more difficult with the pandemic and whatnot. And some of my friends who I did play with regularly on tabletop moved away, so we moved to digital. So like I bought a Kickstarter from Reaper Miniatures right before the pandemic, and I got all the stuff about midway through the pandemic. So I've got a lot of Reaper Miniatures that need to be painted that I haven't even really started, because it's kind of like, what's the point? But I have taken some of them and used them and painted them up and messed with them, and they're fantastic, but I've really fallen into like the Warhammer rabbit hole. I have some that I really want to paint up, though. I have some neat figures of theirs that are just kind of sitting in the pipeline waiting for me to get to them. But unfortunately, for a while, I got into this mode of, I need to paint the armies, I need to paint all of them. And so my painting techniques became very Warhammer-centric. And about painting big armies quickly. And once I got bored of that, I started moving back into the idea of painting well, as opposed to painting fast. And so I got back into painting D&D minis. where I'm trying to be a lot more artistic. Fair enough. I think I've got, one moment, I think I've got some of the more recent D&D minis I painted. I haven't done very much. What's really started to happen, though, is since I got a 3D printer, and all my friends use Hero Forge, and they don't want to spend the $20 to buy a Hero Forge mini printed by them, is they've been buying the STLs and sending them to me, and I've helped them paint them, and I've helped them do this, that, and the other with them. So, if you give me a second, I think, reference shots, I think I can add a reference shot, because I painted a gnome paladin, I think he was, for a friend of a friend. And I ended up painting him, I ended up painting a full-sized and a game piece-sized version of him. So, there's the Temple Guard. Yeah, there's the render of him from Hero Forge. And here's kind of what I came up with. This one is like a 4-inch tall one, so it's kind of like a little display statue. And that one is the game piece one that I also painted for him. And it was supposed to be a late birthday present, so I only charged him like 15 bucks to get both of these done. But I was pretty happy with how they came out. I thought they were super heckin' neato. And so I do some stuff like that with D&D painting. Do I have any of the dudes back here? I might have moved them. I might have moved them in favor of some other things on my display case. So I've got more. They're just not over here right now. But yeah, I really wish that some of my friends lived closer, because I miss tabletop D&D specifically because I enjoy the miniatures so much. If I were playing more, I have a feeling that I'd have a lot more D&D Patreons that I'd be following and actively printing and painting from, as opposed to the amount of wargaming stuff I'm doing, because most of the friends that do play miniature games with me play Warhammer. Or, actually, it's moved over to one-page rules now that they've realized that the rule set is a whole lot easier to maintain than Warhammer. But, point is that, yes, I do the D&D. I like the D&D. I'd do more of it if I had more of, like, that push-pull motivation to do so. Got long-winded and rambly there. I apologize. I am very tired. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look that up, especially because my wife's a huge fan of Jeff Goldblum. So we knew about him doing that, and we didn't actually watch the podcast because I guess we forgot about it, which is bizarre. But we're definitely going to have to check out that model. That sounds really neat. But yeah, I feel like I've heard of your name before, and I'm just blanking really hard on where I've seen or heard it. And that makes me feel bad. I hate when I know someone and they deserve the recognition, and I should be like, oh yeah, you're so and so from so and so, and then my brain just goes potato. But I'll be honest, I'm exhausted. I've had a really rough couple of nights, and so my sleep patterns have gotten a little funky. Yes, I would love to see his mini, and you're now going to give me a really cool story to tell my wife when I go upstairs to talk to her, or when we have dinner. She's going to be super excited that I know someone who is. Worked with Jeff Goldblum and also is a D&D mini sculptor, because like she's big into D&D. She's like Warhammer, she'll take or leave, and she listens to me rant about it, but D&D is her bread and butter. She actually sells a lot of like D&D merchandise, like pins and stickers and whatnot, and even t-shirts. So I will shamelessly promote my wife's stuff. She goes to conventions and sells it, and has an Etsy store where she sells her prints and her other stuff. So yeah, I was super excited to meet someone who shared a passion for the hobby like that, and is, you know, she's also a really cool person beyond that. But yeah, I'll at some point need to that's part of the reason why I wanted to get into miniature sculpting, is because she has these cool designs for things like kobolds and you know, paladins and whatnot, and I kind of want to see them on the tabletop. So at some point, I'm going to learn it specifically so I can make her designs. Like right now, she's playing in a game with me where she's got a tiefling bard that she's really partial to, and all we've really been able to do with him is make him via Hero Forge, and I'd love to be able to just make her a custom version based on her art style. You know what I mean? So at some point that'll happen. That'll be part of my motivation. Okay. Yeah, I can't believe we forgot about that. I think we're gonna have to find that so we can listen to it at some point. But yeah, she's gonna be so jealous that I'm talking to a representative from Strata Miniatures. That's freaking awesome. Thank you for popping by. I really appreciate it. I'm what I consider to be like a micro streamer at this point. I'm really just doing this because I spend. Tell her to send me a link. I'll put her on a monthly. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Okay, that's exciting. Business opportunities, expansion, exposure. But yeah, I'm very small time. I started streaming because I realized I was painting so much. It's like, why not have a stream? Someone else might enjoy listening or viewing or whatever. And I got into this habit of listening to these artists on stream that are just like, hey, do the thing you love. Even if it doesn't net you $1 million, you've had the joy of doing it, right? So I'll definitely send or like tell her about this and tell her to send you a link. That's so cool. Her art here, I'll even put it in here. Her art handle and what she goes by is Art by QB, and that's like her Etsy store and everything. She has a an Instagram page that she goes through, and that's where she promotes herself mostly. And she has an Etsy that's the same name. Oh, that had to be. Oh my goodness. I mean, I can't imagine going on like a big name stream like that. I'm a little starstruck that you're here, to be completely honest. But yeah, that's really cool. Dwarven Forge, my goodness. I'd probably cry. Just get up there and start crying like a child at recital. Oh my goodness, that's so cool. Okay, this is turning out real nice. I like the fact that the blue is really just kind of kissing the black on him and just kind of edging it up just a smidgen. So he's not coming through and looking way too overdone. And also, I think, so he took this person, the person who did this, he took a Grey Knight's sword piece to get this really neat custom blade guard. And I gotta say, I like how this turned out on accident. The head of the Poxwalker, I did not mean for it to look that corpsey. I just used some bone color and some dark wash, and it looks honestly a little remarkable. So I don't know how much I want to change that. I was gonna make him green and fleshy and be like Nurgle color, but I kind of like that look. I don't know. I'll figure something out. I do need to add some blood effects. Okay, let's check this out. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Yeah. Oh, I gotta show her that. That is so cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I recognized it immediately. You guys did a great job capturing his likeness just enough so that it's clearly Jeff Goldblum, but at the same time, it's also clearly a D&D character inspired by Jeff Goldblum, right? And I know I'm probably singing to the choir there. You know what you're capable of, but that's really awesome. Thanks for sharing that. That's a darn good looking mini. And see, that's kind of what I want to get into. I mean, obviously, I love a lot of the Warhams, and I'd like to start designing some of my own stuff in the Warhams, but I also want to be able to create stuff for my friends and custom units and custom minis for them. The more I look at this guy, the more I think he's friggin' awesome. So at some point, and I have zero programming experience, so it's super intimidating for me, but at some point, I'm going to like brute force it. I'm going to learn it myself. If my bout with COVID had been worse, that's probably what I would have spent more time off doing. I got COVID. Make loads of wacky stuff for own armies. I bet. I mean, that just feels like an invitation for chaos, right? If you having the skill set to do that kind of thing and being a big fan of it, it's just like, okay, everything's going to look amazing and it's going to be completely gonzo in the process, right? I mean, that's what it feels like I'd do. That's kind of what's happened now that I got a 3D printer. It's no longer just, man, I hope I can afford X. It's like, screw it, I'll just print X. One of my favorite things I've seen recently is the Chungus Marine, which is where they took, like, the Contemptor Dreadnought's body, and they put a Space Marine's head inside the location, and then they just put, like, Primaris Intercessor limbs on it. So he's this fat, chonky little Marine. And I kind of want to make a small army of those. Just because they're so silly looking. Okay. Let's get a little bit of that light on there. Those yellows ended up looking a lot better than they were supposed to. Okay. Gonna touch these guys up a little more. Yeah, the guy who kit bashed this did some really fun stuff, because I've mainly played Space Marines, and I don't have a whole lot of experience. I've only been doing this hobby for about a year or a couple years now, but I'm seeing all sorts of fun little details and bits on him that I don't recognize. He ended up telling me that for that, I think I said already, for that sword it was a Grey Knight, and that, honestly, it makes me want to collect Grey Knights more. Playing Chaos Gate Demon Hunters was a bad idea. I don't have enough money to buy another army. Okay. Yeah, this gray is really coming up good. And I think I can go back, re-hit those screens with something simple. Just to give it some more pop. There we go. I don't know, but what's the funnest thing that you've added to either, like, your own army or to a D&D campaign that you sculpted yourself? I'm legitimately curious now. Good evening, Red. How's it going? I need to go through, and it's probably going to be... I'm going to come back down a little later, and I don't know if I want to stream at that point. I might, but my wife's got a D&D game, so I'm basically got the most of the evening free to myself. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and inventory the parts I printed for your Dreadnoughts and make sure that I got them all. And if I do, I'll send you an email that you can answer tomorrow, and I can go ahead and get your stuff mailed out to you. And once I find out all the prices and everything, going off my head at the news earlier, I have no idea what's happened. I've been at, like, work. And I've also been exhausted. I almost fell asleep again today. I really need to take a day off after I get these commissions done. What news has happened? What did I miss? What did I miss while teaching the chillins? Okay. This is going to be good. And this should be it. I think once I'm done with this guy, I'm gonna be good on all of the edge highlighting and edge dry brushing. At least for these models. Okay, get his fingers. I just realized he doesn't have an iron halo, and I also apparently need to paint the back of his head better. That's messy. Okay. That, a little bit of that, touch that up a little bit, get a little bit of that, a little bit on his toes. I have a Skaven army that's basically all custom bits. My mate's Gargant army is army. It's basically auto wins. That's really cool. I want to get to somewhere like that. Just have a completely custom army that looks absolutely nuts and is obviously like a theme that I've spent many, many months, if not years, working on. I have a friend, the person who got me into this hobby, who really likes the Skaven, but he's a much bigger fan of, like, the Rats of Nim and Redwall style Skaven, or like rats and whatnot. So he just about had a cat when he found out that, One Page Rules was doing their own Ratman army, and that the Ratman army was going to be more of like Fallen Noble Empire versus dirty, messy, stabby. So, once he finishes moving into his new house, Techno Skaven, that is really cool. You'll have to show those off at some point. That would be good. I'd love to see those. Oh no, I got a messy bit on there. Well, he's a character unit, so he's going to get a little more time. Him and the 2 captains are definitely going to get their time in the sun. I'm not too worried about them right now. I need to go back and double check to make sure. Paint their screens. Paint their screens. Paint their screens. Character unit. Character unit. There's some other guys with bits and bobs. I saw, oh yeah, I need to, do I need to touch up their blades? I think I should probably touch up their blades a little bit. Well, actually, no, I kind of like the color of their blades. I'm gonna let those stay. I'll ask the client, see what he says. What else needs to really be done on these guys? Oh, they're barrels. Okay, so, or not their barrels, they're magazines. Those all need to get a little touch up to them. This guy's got the knee thing, so I'm gonna do him. 2. Touch up all their barrels so that they actually have the bullets coming out of them. Probably gotta touch up all these guys too. He's a character unit. He'll go over there. Okay. Done with the dry brushing. So this can go over here. These can go up here. Yeah, I think one of my favorite Kit Bash armies I've seen were Rat Mech. I really enjoyed the Rat Mech look and the idea that, you know, a bunch of depraved rat. There's a single mom of 3 that says she can't afford gas to your house. She's into government says to elderly put more layers of clothing. That's really upsetting. I mean, I really hate the fact that we have that kind of scarcity happening with our fuel and whatnot, and it just feels criminal. But not sure what really else you can do about that until a much bigger problem, I suppose, is dealt with. Okay. Let's see this Technoscape, and I'm now very curious. Oh, look at those boys. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the good stuff. That's the good right there. I definitely dig it. Oh, that centerpiece is really cool. I don't know as much about Sigmar and Warhammer Fantasy, but these are some fantastic looking models. Fantastic looking paint jobs too. Good gravy. That's something I need to do, is I need to figure out a better system for storing my minis. Right now, I'm just kind of show the rest of class. That is fair. Let's see. Copy image address. Go back to the reference shots. Let's go ahead and get rid of these other minis, because y'all don't need to see that again. Wait, no, I can't do it. I gotta... How do I do this? Media source? Media source. Not a local file. Input. Will that work? Let's find out. Nope, it won't work. Give me a second, guys. I know that there's ways to do this, but I'm having a small brain moment. Get rid of media source too. I don't need that. Browser? Browser. URL. Paste. There we go. Look at these things. Look at those beauties. There's probably an easier way to do this, like window sharing and whatnot, but my brain's not firing on all cylinders right now. Fantastic looking Skaven, just all of them. But yeah, that's a thing of beauty. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this off now so I can continue working with what I'm working. But those look really freaking cool. I like your storage setup too. Do you have like fitted, or not fitted, but like custom cutout magnetized sheets underneath them? Or am I just misunderstanding what's going on there? Yeah, I want to remove browser. Okay, let's see. Gonna need a little bit of that. Gonna need a little bit of that, because we're gonna go crazy colored. Gonna need a little bit of the parchment color that'll then stain back down. This guy's got a little stabby design on his knee, or on his shin, so I've got to go ahead and hit that thing with some pretty accoutrements. Hey, tall Lithuanian, good to see you. Yeah, I know, those Ratmen are freaking awesome. Okay. I'm glad you like the temple guard. I'm glad they're turning out to your specifications. Right now, I'm going back through and I'm doing a bunch of the little bits and bobs I missed, like this guy's knee decoration or shin decoration. I'll get it right eventually, and just trying to touch them up to make everything look good, to make every last bit of these boys pop. So I'm just doing tiny little details, tiny little strokes on little things. So hopefully, when you get them, all these little details will really pop and shine since you're not looking at them through a camera lens. Okay, a little bit of that. Very little. I needed a lot less than I thought I was gonna. And then we're gonna hit the golden filigree right there. Skull, there we go. That's gonna be good enough. Okay. Gonna get rid of all that. Yeah, I was just talking about all the cool little kit bashes you did. Okay. Don't need that anymore. Now I can go back. Yeah, actually, no. I think I'm just going to leave this in dry brush or in dry palette format right now because I don't need to go into the wet palette for a second. But yeah, I am slowly closing in on finishing these lads. I'm really happy with how they're turning out. But right now, my goal is to try and give it as much touch-up as I can so that I can eventually move on to the characters and the dreadnought and the vehicle. That done right there. I use mini-mag movement trays that are metal. You put a magnet under the base, get any tray and put the fridge magnet shoe stuff on, you're good to go. Yes, these are Talos. He found out I mentioned offhandedly that you guys on Twitch were the ones who told me I should go ahead and give them all green lenses and just keep it universal. And he was like, "Oh my goodness, you got a Twitch?" And so I went ahead and told him about it. But yeah, I kind of do something like that. I don't use mini magnet movement tray. Well, actually, I guess I kind of do. I printed some out for a friend, and they have like little inserts. Actually, that turned out looking really good. They have little inserts that are meant for the magnets, but what I typically do with my boys is I take like a washer, and then I put that on there, and it means that they're a little bit tall, so they wobble just a smidgen, but it's a strong enough magnet, and it really holds them in place. And what I've done is I've gone to like Home Depot or Lowe's, and they have the 12x12 metal sheets, and so I cut those to shape, and I've put them inside carrying cases. Let's see. Let me see if I can show you guys an example. I started using. Okay. Now that I'm all distracted, what I've actually started using is autofocus, ultra wide, is like these art craft boxes that I found, and so I found like flashing for a house, like not aluminum flashing, stainless steel flashing, and I've cut it to shape, and I just kind of put it in like this. And so like this is my Imperial Fists and my Death Guard boys, and I also put Gilliman in here just because I'm really proud of the paint job. But they stick well enough to the magnets, and it has like a tray where I have my dice and my dice and my bits and bobs. So I can put this in here, and it holds all my stuff. So like I've got my dice down here, I've got some more back there, I've got my measuring tapes, I've got some tokens for if I need them, I've got all sorts of things, and then I can put my character sheets from one-page rules just on top, and it all snaps together with a handle. Like so. And they kind of stack on top of each other, but I need to hold them together with a with like a strap. And so the setup works okay. I kind of don't like the fact that it's all held together with a strap, but the setup works pretty much okay. The only big issue I have right now is that I want to adjust it a little bit. So I was at Michael's with my wife the other day, and I saw the ornament containers for like Christmas ornaments, and one of them was a 3-tiered system where they like locked into the top one, which had the handle, and all I could think of was I could use you. So once that thing goes on sale, I'm probably going to switch over to that. The next thing I was working on, lenses. I was going to do eye lenses. So let's go ahead and do an assembly line of eye lenses. That is true. I have some movement trays for like larger units, like for my poxwalkers. I 3D printed some. And then I did the jankiest thing I could, and I took some strips and I just cut them and glued them onto the movement trays. It didn't work too well, so I'm gonna have to adjust that process. But let's see. Okay, and yeah, to answer your question, I think we're calling you Talith now, because I think your name's supposed to be Tall Lithuanian, but I think Talith sounds pretty cool. So, to answer your question, projects I have on the horizon, not many, because I've realized over the past few days that I'm really starting to burn out hard, and it's not like I'm starting to dislike miniature painting or anything. It's just that if I'm not working or sleeping, I'm either miniature painting or spending a little bit of time with my wife, and I'm just coming up with excuses on why I need to go miniature paint, and that's not healthy. So, I've got this project to finish, and then I need to finish the Stampa that I'm making for a friend who's coming down for the holidays. Fair enough, see you soon. And then I think I need to finish painting that giant Dr. Livesey meme that I made. And that's pretty much it for a little while, because I've definitely gone way too hard in on this, and while I've enjoyed every minute of it, I need to calm down. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna try and get those things done, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of a break just for myself, unless money becomes an issue. And then I might go back into it a little harder. We're gonna go with a dark purple. No, that's not dark. We're gonna go with a black, because I think the black will... And that's kind of the sucky part, is it's not like I feel overly obligated to do this stuff, it's just that I got so excited about it that I threw myself into too many little projects at once, and that's completely screwed up my ability to sleep. Because, I've been waking up at like 3 AM, and then, I don't need this, and then, like trying to force myself back to sleep, and if I can't, then I just get up and I'm like, well, I guess I'll mini paint. Speaking of, you haven't seen the Stampa yet, have you? Okay, here we go. This is what I'm proud of. Okay, so the thing is, like, you see the size of your minis, right? The ones I'm painting for you? Look at this boy. Look at the size of this boy. This is not a true Stampa. This just happens to be a really cool proxy from Station Forge Miniatures. He actually gets even bigger too, because he's supposed to have a chainsword right here that I haven't painted yet, and he's got an entire artillery section that goes on his back and is manned by 3 grots. So he gets even bigger. I need to finish touching up some bits on him, like the lens and the stitches that are holding his flesh together, and then I need to get really hard to work on the rest of him, because they're coming down for the holidays, and so I want to make sure that he's done by then. And so this project is obviously more important because you're paying me, but once I finish with this project, that's what I'm getting to. Look at the size of this guy. He's so big. Everything about him is so big. I actually don't know how many points a Stampa is. I think they're like 500 or 600, but since he's essentially, I had to pin every part of him. Every part of him has like 2 or 3 toothpick rods inserted alongside the super glue and the natural slotting that they have. I'd say he weighs a good like 2 pounds, 2 to 3 pounds. He's very heavy, and I hope he's made well enough. I really would hate to drop him, but yeah, I mean, you can see next to my arm, he's about the length of my arm. So yeah, he is a big old boy. Oh, speaking of, have you seen the Imperial Fist Hellblasters that I did for you yet? I've been meaning to send you pictures of those, but I don't think I've actually gone around to doing it. Give me a second. Let me make sure that this is lined back up. Okay, is that good? Yeah, that's about good. That's about good. Okay. No, I'm going to keep that on there because I'm about to paint his lenses. Okay. Just so you can get kind of picked up. Yeah, here's your fists. They ended up having slightly darker eyes than I expected, but this is what your fists look like. I will say, I do have a question for you. What's going on with this guy's arm? I mean, I appreciate how much kit bashing went into your dudes, but, like, it looks like you had to take a Katachan arm and, like, make it work. And for function, it looks pretty darn good, but that one caught me off guard when I first saw it. But yeah, these are your Hellblasters. Hopefully, when you see them up close, you're gonna really like how they turned out. Okay, that being said, I gotta focus in. Go ahead and get these eye lenses done. And actually, I've made an issue for myself because I want to lean in more forward, but I've got my painting stuff in the way. So that's gonna get scooched back. That's gonna get scooched back, and let's go ahead and give this go ahead and give this lens good paint. Okay. Like the overgroomed. So his arm and the cable for one was janky. I didn't have the last arm I needed for reason, so I clicked it. Fair enough. I mean, you did what you could, and I'll be honest, as I always say about some of these things, from 3 feet away, he looks fantastic. You know what I mean? Welcome back, Red. I'm right now just trying to work on getting these eyes painted up so that they look good. Okay. So we got the darkest green set in. Now, a little less. Okay, so hopefully. Oh, that's blurry. We don't want blurry. I need to get a new camera, and at some point I will have the money to get a new camera. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and go lighter. And hopefully I can reach this. Go lighter. Okay. Yep, those look brighter. We were just talking about the Stompa and just how freaking large that custom Stompa is and how hopefully I'll be done with the dang thing soon enough. Okay, and now we're gonna go even lighter. Kind of the same at this angle here. Go even lighter at like half that space. There we go. You got some bright looking eyes there. And then we're gonna hit you at the very end with just a little diagonal or a little line of yellow to really sell that brightness. There we go. And at the very back of his lens, we're going to go ahead and put a little dot of bright at the very back. Shadows are. And there we go. Lenses are done. At least on this guy. Okay, and the other two guys are helmetless. Go back to you, friendo. Again. Start dark, work our way up to light. What brushes do I use? I use Winsor & Newton Series 7. These are like the standard good brushes that that army painters tend to use, especially with the Warhams and the like. They're Kolinsky Sable, which means that they are made of a higher quality bristle, I suppose. I don't know enough about it. I will say I bought mine off of Amazon, which might have been a mistake because with some of them I'm having a harder time keeping a point. Though that is also very likely because I am an absolute bastard when it comes to brush cleaning. But what they do is they hold a much finer point more consistently over time. They usually have a better belly for holding both paint and moisture. Like this is a 00, that's seen just a little bit too much love, and so the point on him is starting to go, which is a little unfortunate because now I'm painting eyes. But yeah, these normally cost like 15 to 25 a brush, depending on where you get them from. Amazon obviously has them for cheapest, but then you have to deal with Amazon quality control, which is not that great. But I'm not lying I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you that this thing was so fine when I first got it that you could almost use it as a syringe. But they have different care instructions than a typical brush, like a synthetic one. The one thing they don't do that synthetic brushes do that I have completely forgotten about until I tried to use them again was that synthetic brushes tend to like curl at the end after extended use, and I've never had that problem with Kolinsky Sable brushes. My biggest problem is that they lose their point because I'm a dingus. Like, this was a #1. This was the first one I got, and it was, you can see like the label's completely gone because I've used it so much. And this one was so fine with its tip that I could use it for doing eyes, but the point is clearly gone, and so now this has kind of become my beater brush because it's not very good for much else anymore. Those eyes ended up turning out pretty okay. I've heard that Raphael, I think it is Raphael's 8404 or Da Vinci, I forget which one, but there's a couple of other brush brands out there that are supposedly the equivalent of Winsor & Newton, but without the quality control issues. So if you're really interested in getting really nice brushes and getting really, really fine points, that's what you need. Now, I also understand that you don't necessarily need a Kolinsky Sable brush to get really good paint jobs, but my understanding is that they really help. They definitely do a lot for you and make the job a whole lot less combative because you're not fighting your equipment. You know what I mean? And that one I can vouch for because my painting detail has gotten considerably better since I started buying Winsor & Newton brushes. And I don't know if it's just coincidence because obviously I'm practicing more, so I've had chances to grow my skill set, or if it really is that I'm getting better at this because the brushes are helping me get better, or helping me do more things that I want to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, I strongly suggest, first of all, don't buy Games Workshop brushes. They're overpriced for what they are. And secondly, if you are fine not getting like the finest of fine details, then craft brushes are, yeah, I would stop if I were you. To be completely honest, they're not bad. Like, for the most part, Games Workshop brushes are fine. They're just expensive for what they are. I've gotten really, really good paint jobs out of really crappy brushes. Like this brush, I don't know what this is, but I got it as part of a bundle with a bunch of other brushes. Basically, tabletop rating with a party of 5. Very cool. Hi guys, how's it going? I'm just over here painting a commission piece, a commission that I was given, and I'm trying to get through it, and I'm working on lenses and working on eyes. I bring chaos, but not chaos. Fantastic. That's definitely a good thing, because I think the temple guards that I'm painting up would have a bone to pick with you about that. Good to see you guys. Got them free with the Imperium and Conquest Mads. That's a really good place to get them. If you're not paying anything, hey AK Former, jumping is athletics, not acrobatics. I'm confused. Hey Venomorat, I'm confused and overwhelmed. I'm very tired, and there are a lot of new people, and it's fantastic, and I appreciate it. But what you call it? Yeah, if you're not paying for them, then yes, exploit the heck out of that, because again, they're not bad brushes, they're just overpriced. And actually, you can kind of see there's a little bit of a tip on that hip on that one. Cyborg Stare, I think. Hi, how's it going? I haven't been rated before like this. It's scurrying me. I am just trying to get these eyes painted assembly line style so I can move on from these line troops and start working on the characters and the big robots. Eyes, Raven Guards, Temple Guard, you're not worried about his edgy. Fair enough. That's something I want to see. I know it's not going to be the case because all of the rumors are pointing it to being the Lion, but I would love to see a fully warp-embraced Corvus come back. And just keep screaming, "Where's Lorgar?" That yellow looks so good. Thank you. Extremely heretical humans. I have a friend who plays Alpha Legion, and so he's starting to add some cultists in there as well. And it's definitely led to some cool stuff. He got the cultist possessed, and they were beautiful. He also recently, he actually had me do a small commission for him. I'm gonna go ahead and show that off because I'm real proud of him. He got some chaos Lorgar, you nerd! He got some chaos possessed that I think, dang it, did I not take pictures of them? Oh my goodness, what a goober. Astra Militarum, the best. Astra Militarum. I cannot deal because they are just, there's too many of them. That kind of painting makes me sad. Just too much. Okay. So, from what it looks like, I was a dingus, and I didn't bother... oh wait, no, I want to keep that open. I didn't bother actually saving it, so I'm gonna... Instead, I'm gonna be an ultra nerd, and I'm gonna go to my Instagram. And we're gonna show you some... I did some Chaos Possessed for him, and I was really happy with how they turned out, because, yeah, exactly. What's the joke? Yeah, I play the Astra Militar. We don't do that here. But yeah, let me see, game capture, display capture, that's what I want. No, I don't want that, so no, that's not what I want. I don't want display capture. We're gonna get rid of that. You guys don't need to see this stuff. Goodbye. I'm still learning, Twitch, by the way. I apologize for that, but window capture. There we go. We want Instagram. So, I have an Instagram, and these are the Chaos Possessed that I was working on. And the beautiful part, to me at least, is that he added some... He wanted me to have some Pokemon references specifically to these models. So each one of them has a small Pokemon reference. And so I was really happy with how they turned out. Thought they looked fantastic. And he was super excited when he got them, so I think I did a pretty okay job. But yep, those are the Chaos Possessed. He had this really cool stuff called Turbo Dork Transition Paints, and it went from like a deep purple all the way up to a green, and you can kind of see it on some of these models. But yeah, he really wanted that for the Alpha Legion, so that's what I did for him. And even better, I made me some Amogus. I realized that the Votan, when they don't have, or like, were space suity enough that I could make myself some Among Us dudes. And so I made two of them imposters, and I've been told I should buy another kit and make the rest of the imposters and turn it into an actual board game. But I went ahead and just didn't put arms on them, and then I made a bunch of Amogus. So I'm really happy with how these guys turned out. I don't have any other use for them. They're just Amogus. And I kit bashed them using some parts from a Beholder. So, I was really happy with that. Okay, his eyes almost done. Wait, did it? No, they got the yellow dots. Okay, these guys are good. But yeah, I was really proud of that stupidity. But yeah, someone suggested I get the Into the Dark terrain set, and I get another case of the Votan Hearthkin, and make more traders, or more imposters, and de-imposter the two that I did, and that way I could turn it into like an actual board game. And I was more than a little intrigued. But yeah, I'm not much into kit bashing. That was actually the first big kit bash I had done, and I didn't even do much with it. You guys saw, I just didn't put arms on the damn things. But I was really happy with how those turned out. So I felt like I needed to share those. I also have a giant Dr. Livesey from the Funk Walk meme that I've 3D printed, and I need to really go ahead and do something with. That's not on camera. I need to spray him up and paint him out, because he's actually supposed to be something for a school project, so that my kids have something to laugh at. because my co-teacher, I've mentioned it before, but he's also a friend of mine. He's the one who got me into Warhammer. And he works with music, and he works with circuit boards and the like. So what he did for me was he programmed a circuit board with a button so that it plays the Funk Walk, or it plays Dr. Livesey's, you know, rum and death should mean the same to you line. And so I want to get that thing painted up and constructed so that I can bring it in, and whenever the kids feel squirrely, they can just go ahead and press that thing and get a laugh out of it. And hopefully the novelty will wear off soon, but now it's at work and they can't stop me because it's based off of a classic novel. Also, I mentioned he's big. He is big. Oh. Because now is the time for me to show off all my toys. Okay, so this is Dr. Livesey. I'm very proud of how this guy turned out. His chest is so broad. I kind of want to print another one so that I can just turn him into an Imperial Titan. I know, right? But I mean, like, look at this guy. Look at how good he turned out. I am not very good with the filament printer, but he's just so cool looking, and he's massive. Whoever did this really got like all the proportions and everything right. So I can't wait to turn him into a meme. I teach what's called co-taught English 9, and yeah, he's humongous. He's big enough to be his own Imperial Titan. I teach co-taught English 9, and what that means is that there are students that obviously fall behind and need a lot more assistance, or they have special things to their education plan that we need to follow, like they need extended time testing, or they need read aloud, or this, that, or the other. And so, hey Snowtwig, how's it going? And so I have a co-teacher that's in there with me, and we have a higher concentration of those students. And a lot of them are there simply because they haven't gotten the support they needed, or because they just hate school, or for personal reasons, and yada yada yada. So our goal is to try and make the class as enjoyable as possible and hope they get something out of it, because they're the kind that just don't respond well to, you know, having the high expectation set of like a standard class. And so I try and do things that are a little more entertaining, a little more fun. And I think having a giant Dr. Livesey statue in the classroom that plays the Funk Walk meme will be entertaining and fun enough. Okay. But yeah, I am enjoying how easy eye painting is, even with a crummy brush such as this, because the point is good enough. And like I mentioned before, that's kind of the beauty of having good, cheap brushes, is that you don't necessarily need to buy the most expensive ones in the world if you know where to look. And actually, I mentioned earlier that one of the things that's most annoying about cheap synthetic brushes is that the tip curls at the end. And this one clearly has. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Painting's going well. I'm getting to the point with these guys where I'm down to like the small details. And so I figured now's as good a time as any to go ahead and paint the eyes. But yeah, this thing has just the slightest curl going that way with it. And, okay, thank you. It was great meeting you too. Thank you for the compliments about the paint scheme. This was not at all my idea. You can actually thank Tall Lithuanian for that. This is his commission. He's paying me to put these models together, or he put the models together, but he's paying me to paint them in the scheme of the Temple Guard, because he had a ton of Black Templar bits and bobs that he wanted to use, but he wanted to play Imperial Fists. So he found the Temple Guard used the same like chapter symbol, but obviously different color scheme. And so I'm doing everything in my power to paint these guys like Temple Guards, while having a little bit of a spin on them. And something I just realized, and I'm really frustrated to notice this, is I did not use half the transfers I need to use. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to put the transfers on, and I'm going to reapply some of the dirt and grime on them to make them look even better. Gosh dang, how did I forget about that? That's okay. It's all good. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I could do this. Filthy Marines, I know, right? But at least they're really cool looking Marines. I mean, I think I've spent enough time painting other things beyond the Marines. I did some Votan in the form of the Amogus. I've been working on a giant friggin' Orc Stompa that's custom built from Station Forge. One of the other things that I need to work on that I keep forgetting about is I 3D printed a Chaos Imperial Dominus class Knight, which they don't actually make a model for. But what someone did was they... Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one, man. What they did was they kind of... I can't remember what it's called, but they did the thing with the legs where I can never pronounce it. Digitigrade? Where they have, like, the chicken legs? They did that with an Imperial Knight Dominus chassis. And I was like, okay, cool. Now it's a Chaos Knight. And I have a Death Guard army. So I went ahead and printed some Nurgle style armor to put on him, and I'm going to make myself a Nurgle Knight Castellan. I think it's a Knight Valiant. I forget which one has the big guns instead of the gun and the harpoon, but that one. And my favorite part to the whole thing is that one of my friends, when they went to go see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, they were a huge Scarlet Witch fan. And at the theaters that we were going to, they had these cute little bobbleheads that you could get if you bought popcorn. And so they bought a couple popcorns, and they were like, hey, do you have any more of the Scarlet Witch bobbleheads? And the person behind the counter was like, yeah, we got a couple, but they're not complete. They're just kind of junk. You can have them if you want. And so they were like, yes, please. I desire these things. And so she got a full Scarlet Witch. But she also got just, like, a head, which was kind of weird. But she was like, hey, BenryPaints, do you want this head? You can use it for kit bashing. And I went, yes. And so what I did was I corpseified the head and just made it look all gray and decayed. And I'm going to stick it on the Chaos Knight. And it's going to have all sorts of, like, guts and wires coming out of it. And so hopefully it looks absolutely friggin' disgusting. And we've decided as kind of a tribute to the Scarlet Witch that we're going to call it the Scarlet Bitch, because that's funny. And I got her permission to do that. And so she's just really happy that a gift she gave me is going to be used in a cool way. So I need to finish putting that guy together and painting him. Okay. Get the eyes. Get that eye. Get that. How do you know which paint to use? Like for guns, I got a set with like 4 grays. I just choose. I don't think there really is a right one. It's all based on, I mean, Citadel has their paint schemes, and those are kind of approximations. And they tell you, yeah, you should use this or you should use that. And there is no hard and fast rule. Like, I don't think you're going to be booted from a tournament or made fun of because you used the wrong color. So it's all up to what you're comfortable with. They just want to give you that variety. And what's my brain? It's potatoing again really hard. I'm sorry. But yeah, it really is up to what you want to use. Like there's obviously an official Temple Guard color scheme because it's right there in the corner. But I didn't follow it. I'm using a Vallejo golden brown or golden yellow, I think is what the give me a second. I can actually look it up. Where'd it go? I used Vallejo model color gold brown, and that's how I got these yellows. And there is, I mean, they up until recently just came up with Imperial Fist as a contrast paint. Until then, I was using Averland Sunset, which is technically an Age of Sigmar color, because Averland is an Age of Sigmar thing, right? Generally, I like to use a silver, like Citadel's Lead Belcher with Nuln Oil on top, which is great. I have moved into Vallejo. I liked Citadel for what it was. I did not like the price for how much I was getting, so I kind of moved away from them. And I've moved very heavily into Vallejo for all of my color needs. I have a single pot of scale 75 for a very, very dark blue, which I used with some gray to create these highlights on this model. But what you call it? Yeah, if it looks close enough and you're happy with it, then cool. Like the Alpha Legion dudes that I just showed you, they were painted using Turbo Torque Turbo Shift paint, which I don't know why I didn't just show it to you. Is this right here? This is not a Games Workshop at all, but you can see it goes from like that purple all the way up to that nice green. That's what we did for the Alpha Legion, because you know they're all about deception and feints and all that kind of stuff. So whatever makes you happy. The Vallejo paints, they're exactly what they're supposed to be. They're beautiful. They get great coverage. They're dense. They're very pigment dense. They go on smooth. I mean, the off-whites are always going to be a problem, but it's been kind of a revelation. They're in dropper bottles, which beats the hell out of Citadel's paint pots. I love them. And it's kind of why I kept buying them once I started buying them, because they were just so good to start with. And the only one that's been disappointing so far has been their watered down buff, which is their khaki. But beyond that, I've never had any problems. I'm like the colors I'm using to make these lenses. It's Vallejo model color flat green, Vallejo model color black, and Vallejo game color gold yellow. Those are the three colors I'm using right now to make these lenses. Yeah, like I said, Citadel can't really, or Games Workshop isn't going to kill you for not using their paints. That being said, now that I think about it, I need to get going. I'm sorry to say that, but what you call it? I need to go have dinner with my wife. So what I think I'm actually going to do is, since I'm going to be back down here in like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. Actually, no, I am going to go ahead and stop the stream. I'll be back at about 6:55, 7 o'clock, so maybe about 45 minutes. But yeah, I need to go have dinner with my wife. She has my wife. By the way, I'm going, especially since there's so many of you here right now, and I'm going to be shameless about this. My wife is a content creator. She is an independent artist. She is really into D&D and tabletop stuff. Her art handle is Art by QB. And she has an Instagram, she has an Etsy store. I'm going to shamelessly advertise that right now because I love my wife and I love the work she does, and I think she needs to get more exposure, and she won't do it herself. So, I'm gonna go ahead and post her things, and you guys can check it out if you want. She's also into like cryptids and paranormal and all that kind of fun stuff. So if you find anything you like there, then you're more than welcome to look at it. Otherwise, you can completely ignore that plug. But yeah, I'm going to go have dinner with my wife, and then I'll be back down, and I'll probably start streaming again around 7 o'clock. So if you guys are still hanging around, I definitely appreciate it. Otherwise, guys, have a great rest of the evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I've never had this much engagement. This is weird, but I do appreciate it. So have a great time, guys. Bye-bye.